Hi, I'm Floris from Dutch Realtor Training. And I think that you are a realtor or someone who is becoming a realtor, maybe using already our Dutch Realtor Training. So, one of the most important things as a realtor, of course, is also to make a purchase agreement once you have sold a property. In this video, I want to explain to you how to make this purchase agreement. But please wait, I'm not going to hold your hand and show you letter by letter on how to do it, because we have already made a really detailed video of how the purchase agreement works. You don't speak Dutch, I guess, or not well enough, and the purchase agreement is in Dutch. That's the bad news. The good news is that your CRM system, your software system, your, like RealWorks or Colibri, will probably be able to help you automatically generate a purchase agreement. That's the first good news. The second good news is that the stuff that is editable should be in bold text. So I'm just going to show you what stuff is editable, or of course, everything is editable, but what stuff you should touch and change and what stuff not. So yeah, come and take a look, and I'm just going to go through it with you. So the first thing, of course, is the seller. You see that over here. And what I see a lot is that with sellers and below with the buyers, a lot of mistakes are being made in their personal data, like date of birth, place of birth, the first names, the family names. So please just, your client should like double check it, but please just be really precise with this. We're going to Article 1, and that's a very important article. In this example, we're making a purchase agreement of a apartment. And I did that on purpose because the purchase agreement of an apartment is a bit longer and a bit more complicated than the purchase agreement of a house. So I'm going to show you how this works. And if you can make this one, then you can also, of course, make a purchase agreement of a house, because that's much more easier. In the first article, we, of course, say, what is it that we have just sold? In this case, it's an apartment, and in the concept purchase agreements, Article 1 is a really complicated article. It's really hard to understand what to fill in. Well, I have a very, very nice trick for you, and that's the following. Just open the deed of delivery, or akte van levering, or leveringsakte. That's the ownership certificate. Just open it. In the ownership certificate, in the beginning, you see the legal description of the property. In this case, it's the appartementsrecht, rechtgevende op, the apartment right, that gives you the right on the flat on the Waldeck Piermontstraat, 22 red, first floor, second floor, roof terrace, stuff like that. It has a certain share. In this case, it's a 50% share, 1/2, it says, and some other land registry stuff. Just copy it from the ownership certificate, but be aware that in the ownership certificate, there's a summarized description sometimes and more uitgebreide omschrijving, the more extensive description. Use that second one, because you want that in this description that the share, in this example, 1/2, onverdeeld aandeel, that's like 1/2, zeg dat goed? 1/2, thank you very much, Mr. Director, that it is correct. Then we have, of course, the purchase price of 700,000 euros, and also here written in Dutch. Again, your CRM system will automatically generate this purchase agreement, and make sure that you don't have to write this in Dutch. The system will do it for you. automatically. The property tax, make sure that you have selected that the buyer is responsible for the property tax over here, and if it's the case, the buyer can also pick the notary, unless of course you or your client as the selling party wants to pick the notary. Also, Article 2.2 that takes care of the return of the property tax in case your client hasn't been the owner for longer than 6 months. Most cases that's not the case, but if that's the case, make sure that it says here that in case your client has the right to get back the property tax because he just owns the property for whatever 2 months, then you'll get the property tax he paid back. And a lot of times Article 2.2 is not applicable. Article 3 payment, I'm not going to go into that. Article 4 is the notary, the transfer at the notary, and it's here set at 1st of October. Please make sure, of course, that in Dutch we start with the number, then the month, then the year. 1st October, so not October 1st, 1 October, 1st October 2024. Make sure you double check that this is actually not a Saturday or Sunday or Christmas or Koningsdag, King's Day. Article 5. So we have the deposit of 10%. In this case, it's 70,000 euros. What you see a lot is that the buyers in their bid said, you know what, we really wanted, we have a lot of money from ourselves. We pay the deposit to the notary within 1 week. And then they'll get the deed of purchase and the bank guarantee date is set 6 weeks. I mean, as a buyer, you just say, okay, I promise you 1 week, but if you want 6 weeks, I'm fine with it. But it's really sloppy. So just pay attention to that. Look at the bid. Look at what has been agreed upon. Article 6 may be the most complicated article, even though it's not complicated. So basically, the stuff that you could change, we start with Article 6.3. The property should be suitable to use it as a woning, to actually live there. It's not a shed, you know. Article 641 is basically stating that there's no pollution as far as that the seller knows of within the soil. Article 642 basically says that there's not an oil tank in the garden as far as the seller knows. 643 says that in this case, hey guys, pay attention, there is asbestos in the property, namely in the roof of the shed. So, and also behind the CV boiler. So if there's asbestos, which you see in a lot of times, no problem, but just make sure that you say here, aankoper is bekend, it is known to buyer, that there is asbestos, and not aan verkoper is niet bekend. It is not known that there is no, it is known. So make sure that you cross the right selection. Article 644, it is not known that there is any environmental obligation to clean the soil. Well, I've never seen that, but that could happen. So be aware this is all correct. Article 671, I'm not going to go into every sub-article. Article 671 basically says like, okay, is it like a monument? If it is a monument, just make sure that you select the right part here. In this case, it is not known that it is a monument. Article 672 says, in this case, that the property lies within a protected city site. A lot of colleagues make mistakes on this. So please double check if it is a protected city site. There's a map online called cultuurerfgoed, where you can check it and look up your property. This is a hard article, right? I'm getting tired from it, but we're almost there. Article 6.8 basically says that there's not like some kind of like a trade deal with the neighbor, that he takes a piece of land from you, you take a piece of land from him, or you give someone some kind of option right to buy this property. I've never seen this in real life, by the way, so I think you're fine with that. Article 6.9 says that there's no legal obligation that the sellers would have offered this, needed to offer this property to the municipality first. We call this wet voorkeursrecht gemeente. Article 6.11 is like some kind of disclaimer that if the property is smaller than it was listed on Funda, that, that's bad luck. But as I explained in another video, you do have a big problem if you're selling this property and it's smaller than it is listed on Funda. So be careful with that. And Article 6.13 basically says like, okay, the fact that we've just all declared all this stuff above, like about the asbestos and the no soil pollution or whatever, doesn't mean that it is not a fact, So I like that article. Article 7, again, be very careful. Like a lot of times houses have like a CV boiler that is a lease. If that's the case, or there are solar panels that don't belong to the property, that they're a lease, make sure you write it in Article 7. And for God's sake, if you sell a property with tenants, like a buy-to-let, so you're selling the property with tenants, make sure that you write it in Article 7. The property is being sold with the tenants in it. Article 8, basically the settlement of mainly the municipality costs is being it's being settled on the date of the legal delivery at the notary. So not at the 1st of October in this case, but because maybe buyer and seller wants to do it a month earlier or a month later. So it's always the day of the delivery, de dag van de juridische levering. Then over here you see €150. That's because that's the monthly service contribution to the VVE. Just write it down. It's €150 or whatever it is. Just write it down. If you know that it's becoming like €200, you will see this a little bit further. You will also put that in the deed of purchase. Then we have all kinds of articles that we can just skip. Nothing for you to edit. In Article 12, so there is like in the case of an apartment, of course, there is like a deed of division. Maybe there are 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 deeds of division because things have been changed. Make sure that you just name here the dates of the deeds of division over here. So in this case, 1977 and 2003. Those deeds are applicable on this purchase. Article 13, the finances of the home association. Well, so the notary needs to know what is the share of the current owners in the bank account of the home association. So in a lot of times it's pretty complicated to calculate, and especially with larger VVEs, that's just something that the VVE management company just has to make some kind of a statement for. So in that case, we use a lot of times the PM, which basically means let the notary find this out, take care of this, ask the chairman of the VVE about these numbers. It's a bit of a safer solution if you do it like with a PM. In Article 13.3, you see that the service contribution will be, they will raise it to €200 a month. So that's what I mentioned before. If there's stuff like this, or any other stuff that could be important for the buyers, just put it in the deed of purchase. Article 14, we're not changing that. If you want to know what it is, watch our video about the explanation video about the purchase agreement. We're not going into it now. But Article 16 is something that I noticed that, I mean, if the buyers want to register this purchase, or if they don't want to register the purchase, I don't care, but just fill it in. It's not that hard. Try to fill it in. Sometimes people really don't know, then you can leave it open. But, you know, a lot of times realtors forget to ask their clients. So just ask, do you want to register this purchase agreement? Then the terms. Most properties are being sold, of course, with, you know, under condition of getting a finance, a mortgage. In this case, that's the 450,000 euros. So I think I have a little small piece of advice for you, and that's the following. I'm going to skip to Article 18.3. And what I've done here, I've said that, like standard, if the buyers want to cancel the purchase because they can't get a mortgage, they need one neglection letter from a bank. What I've done here, I've just written down 2 neglection letters. I mean, you could also write here 3 neglection letters. I don't think it's very nice of you if you do so, but it is something that you could agree upon. In addition to this neglection letter, in aanvulling hierop, the buyers also have to give other stuff as a proof that they did not get the mortgage. So a lot of times I just write here that you just need to give the entire mortgage application, to send a copy with the neglection letter to the selling agent. Let me go up a little bit because we skipped one article on purpose, and that was the article about the technical inspection. This Article 18.1c. Over here, we have agreed that buyers can do a technical inspection, and if they can show a report not later than the July 25th, where the maintenance costs are 10,000 euros of higher, they can just pull out of this deal. Most cases, the technical inspection is not written here, but it's just something you do within the cooling down period or before signing the deed of purchase. But if you do it like this, I mean, there's one small advice I could give you, and that is that there's a sentence here where it says they can cancel it for the 10,000 euros if it's if the costs are more than 10,000 euros, or if there needs to be additional investigation. I'm just gonna delete this sentence, like the additional investigation, because if there's just a small question mark during the technical inspection, this could be some kind of a stupid, easy get out of jail free card for the buyers, which I don't think is really fair, my personal opinion. So you could just delete that sentence from this article. All right, so we're going good. Are you still focused? Okay. Last bit. Then we have Article 19. That's the cooling down period. I'm not going into that now. That's going to be a different video. But I am going into Article 20 because it is saying that the party that signs this purchase agreement first is doing this under the condition that the other party signs this agreement within 3 days. A lot of times you see here that it is 5 days. I don't think it's fair. I always use 3 days, because if you say that they have like 5 days for this, then you know you also have to wait for the cooling down period, etc. And then there's another 2 weeks that this deal could collapse. So make this as short as possible. Then there's the attachments, of course, that you always list here. And for God's sake, dear colleagues, make sure that the attachments have a good, decent file name. Because I see a lot of times that people call it energy label, whatever, 1234.pdf. What is 1234.pdf? Just call it energy label. Just pay some attention to this. Give some to the details. This is make sure that this is all easy to read for everyone. Article 23. If there are any other agreements, well, there might be, because this table was a takeover item from the list of items. So you could write here like, okay, this purchase includes the table that was a takeover item from the list of items. Then every property sold, every property that I sell that is older than the construction year of 2005, we use an asbestos clause. That's just standard. We always use an environmental clause, milieuclausule. And every property older than 10 years, we always use an elderly clause, ouderdomsclausule. Make sure you don't forget to edit in this elderly clause how old the property is. In this example, it is 100 years old, but just calculate how old the property is and make sure you correct this number. Then there is, everybody is going to sell, sign the agreement, the sellers, the buyers, the selling agent, and the buying agent, if, of course, there is a buying agent. And then we have this ontvangstbevestiging, and that's very important, because this ontvangstbevestiging, you should not forget it. This thing takes care of when the cooling down period starts running. So make sure you don't forget this one. So try to practice with this purchase agreement a lot. Check it, double check it, extra check it. Have it checked by Dutch colleagues as well. And once everything is, fine, send it out to your clients and ask them to take a good look at it and shoot with feedback if they have any. I wish you best of luck with the purchase agreement, and hope to see you at dutchrealtortraining.nl.